was a crisp October evening in 1998 when Sarah Blackwood, a 17-year-old high school senior, left her suburban home in the quaint town of Green Hollow. The leaves crunched underfoot as she walked along her usual path, a serene trail that wound through the edge of the forest and past a small, picturesque pond. It was a routine she cherished, a time to clear her head and escape the pressures of school and family life. Sarah had always been known for her sunny disposition and a love for photography, which she indulged in during her walks, capturing the changing seasons and the quiet beauty of her surroundings. That evening she had brought her camera along, hoping to catch the last rays of autumn sunlight. As Sarah rounded a bend in the trail, she noticed a figure in the distance. It was a man, perhaps in his late 20s, standing by the edge of the woods, his face obscured by the shadow of a large tree. Sarah paused for a moment, unsure whether to continue or turn back. She chose to press on, convincing herself that it was just a stranger enjoying the same path. By nightfall, Sarah had not returned home. Her parents, Mark and Emily Blackwood, were initially calm, thinking she had simply lost track of time. But as hours passed and the sky darkened, their concern grew. Mark ventured out to search for her, retracing her usual path. The once familiar trail now seemed eerie and foreboding under the moonlight. When he arrived at the pond where Sarah often stopped, he found only her camera lying in the grass, its lens still catching the last glimmers of twilight. The absence of Sarah was like a cold hand gripping his heart. Mark immediately contacted the local authorities, and soon the small town of Green Hollow was enveloped in a wave of anxiety and urgency. The search for Sarah began with fervor. Volunteers and police combed through the woods, but the only thing they found was a torn piece of fabric snagged on a branch. It matched the dress Sarah was wearing that evening. Despite exhaustive efforts, the search yielded no other clues, no footprints, no personal items, nothing that could hint at Sarah's fate. Detective James Lawson, a seasoned investigator, took charge of the case. He interviewed friends, family, and neighbors, uncovering little that could explain Sarah's sudden disappearance. The mysterious man seen by Sarah on the trail became a focal point. However, no one could identify him, and no additional sightings or evidence emerged. As weeks turned into months, the case went cold. Theories began to swirl around Green Hollow. Some believed Sarah had been kidnapped by a stranger. A composite sketch of the mysterious man was circulated, but no one came forward with concrete information. Others speculated that Sarah had left of her own volition. She had been a high-achieving student, and some argued she might have felt overwhelmed and sought escape. However, Sarah's friends and family insisted she had no reason to leave and was not troubled by any significant personal issues. A few whispered about the possibility of an accident, a fall into the pond, or an encounter with wild animals. Yet, without a body or any sign of a struggle, this theory seemed improbable. A year passed, and Sarah's case faded from the headlines, but for Mark and Emily Blackwood it remained an open wound. They continued to search for answers, driven by hope and desperation. Mark often returned to the scene, hoping for a sign, while Emily kept Sarah's room as it was, clinging to memories. One chilly autumn day, as Mark wandered through the woods near the pond, he noticed something unusual. A small, barely visible trail leading deeper into the forest. It was almost as if someone had tried to conceal it. Driven by a mix of hope and dread, he followed the path, pushing through thick underbrush and brambles. At the end of the trail, Mark stumbled upon a hidden, abandoned cabin. Inside, he found old, dusty furniture and remnants of past occupants. But what caught his eye was a collection of photographs pinned to the wall, some of them disturbingly familiar. They were snapshots of Sarah, taken from a distance, revealing someone had been watching her. With the new evidence, Detective Lawson reopened the case. The cabin was traced back to a local man, Henry McAllister, a reclusive artist known for his peculiar behavior. McAllister was interviewed and, under pressure, admitted to having seen Sarah in the woods, but denied any involvement in her disappearance. The investigation took a turn when McAllister revealed that he trying to protect Sarah from a more sinister presence. According to him, he had witnessed a shadowy figure, a person known to him as Jacob Rains, a man with a history of violent outbursts, lurking near the trail. McAllister claimed he had tried to warn Sarah but arrived too late. Jacob Rains was apprehended and, upon interrogation, confessed to having seen Sarah on the day of her disappearance. He admitted to approaching her with the intent to confront her, but the situation had escalated, leading to an accidental confrontation that resulted in Sarah's death. Rains had then panicked and hid in her body, hoping to avoid being caught. With the case finally cracked, Sarah's remains were recovered, and Jacob Rains was brought to justice. The town of Green Hollow mourned the loss of a bright young life and found solace in the resolution of a haunting mystery. Mark and Emily Blackwood could finally lay their daughter to rest, though their grief would never fully subside. They found some measure of peace knowing that Sarah's story had been told and justice had been served. The Silent Grove, once a place of fear and mystery, now held a quiet, solemn memory, a reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring strength of those who seek the truth. The forest was renamed in Sarah's honor, and a small memorial was placed near the pond where she had last been seen. The community came together to remember her and to ensure that such tragedies would not be forgotten. The case of Sarah Blackwood became a poignant chapter in the history of Green Hollow, a story of loss, perseverance, and the relentless pursuit of justice.